What's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. We'll get to the Miami Heat in just a second as they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But shenanigans last night at the Heat game. Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather getting into a little confrontation outside Miami Dade Arena as Jake Paul was, confronted by a lot of Floyd Mayweather's entourage. And I've talked about this before. If you guys have seen the channel, Floyd, I love watching Floyd at Heat games. It's just fascinating to see the cycle that he runs in, which is, good Lord, does he have a lot of people around him. And, they're all monster security guards. And I've literally been in the middle of what this is like because I was right in the middle of the original Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather, gotcha hat moment. And when my buddy yesterday, he goes, hey, little heads up. He goes, Jake Paul, Floyd Mayweather, both the game tonight. And I'm like, that doesn't, my immediate thought is that doesn't feel like it's going to go well. And it actually, Jake ended up sitting right where Floyd was sitting the last game. So I was curious to see how this was going to go. TMZ reports that Floyd Mayweather and Jake Paul came face-to-face in Miami after a Heat game Wednesday night. The legendary boxer and a group of men confronted the problem child before JP booked it from the area. The incident happened after the Heat Cavs game when Mayweather rolled up on Paul, who appeared to have one lone security guard at the time. After exchanging a few words, Jake made a run for it, getting out of there before any fists started flying. They have been beefing since May of 2021, since the press conference event. And Jake Paul did address this on his Instagram afterwards, and he just said that Floyd had like 50 dudes. There was like a big car you saw, and wanted to get after him. So, that was that. It was. I mean, the video of Jake Paul. I don't blame Jake Paul for getting out of there, but it is a funny video of him just hauling ass out of there. I don't blame. Listen, far be it from me to say go take on Floyd. He's already been on the other end of that. He's gotten his face smashed in from that. Had a tooth broken from it. He knows what that's like. He says it even in the video, in the competition. He's like, I've been there before. He's out of there. So really was a wild, wild thing. And TMZ talked to a source close to Floyd. It said, Jake crossed the line. This wasn't about grabbing the hat. This was about Jake's comments to Floyd about Floyd's deceased family member, a below-the-belt inappropriate behavior. So Jake Paul said in response, Jake went to his IG and started name-calling once he could run and hide behind the camera. So, really wild. Will this lead to a Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight? Probably. Let's be honest. I mean, Floyd Mayweather likes money. Jake Paul likes money. And, Floyd Mayweather, he has just fought in front of like nobody in exhibition in England. And Jake Paul is, losing to the Fury's half-brother. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about needing a resurgence of even more relevance just to take our money, then I imagine this is going to happen again. I imagine that Floyd versus Paul, the other version, will happen. So we'll see. Anyway, getting to the game last night, which is was about as chaotic as it was outside because the Miami Heat had a season-high 24 turnovers, which, as Eric Spoelstra said after the game, that's kind of the story right there. You're not going to win a lot of basketball games. There are definitely things that I'm going to get to in this game that annoyed me, but he does have a fair point when he says, hey, you can't really, get too mad about anything when you're going to turn the ball over that much. And, that's a fair point by Eric Spoelstra. It's tough to argue. But, Miami had a couple of things here where it was like, hey, you were going down to the wire, and you had a couple of things that went against your way. One of them that annoyed me, and this happened. It got Miami twice today, where Tyler Hero got called for a kick out when he was shooting a three. I thought that he should have been fouled and getting 3 free throws. They end up calling an offensive foul. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here with this? And then this happened to Bam early on in the game, who had a very strange game. Bam had like the greatest 4 minutes to start a basketball game today, but then got into foul trouble and just didn't get to play that much tonight. And I mean, he started this game, block on Donovan Mitchell, dunk right past Evan Mobley, dunking all over the place, and then just got into foul trouble and just couldn't get back to that rhythm. So he had 17 points. He was 8 of 11 tonight, but he only played 29 minutes, which never happens for him. He's usually always, one of the leaders in minutes played. And it was just a tough go of it tonight. But you had him tonight. The starting lineup. Everybody in the starting lineup had multiple turnovers. You had 3 from Kevin Love. Try that outlet pass, snatch. Jimmy had a couple of turnovers. Bam, in only 29 minutes, had 3 turnovers. Gave Vincent a couple of turnovers. He tonight didn't do anything. Tyler Hero, he had 3 turnovers. Pretty nice night for him from the floor. A lot of people are pissed that he didn't get that shot at the end. I get it. Tyler Hero, end-of-game situations, that's usually when he's the man. Really seemed like the only guy who had it from downtown tonight. Another one of these nights where the Heat built a brick house. Now, you can't really blame the game on that because it's pretty even Steven on the threes tonight. Cleveland only made 1 more on just about the same amount of shot attempts. He got to the free throw line a ton. You're just looking at it and you're like, well, you had a game where you just gave him the basketball over and over and over and over again. It was a tough night for Victor Oladipo after having the monster game against Atlanta. This game just didn't have that shot from downtown that he did the last game, and he was shooting it a lot. And that's a tough situation because it's like, the last game, you're loving Victor Oladipo hitting it from 3. This one, you're not getting anything from him from 3. So what do you do in that situation? It's like the giveth, the taketh. You want Vic, you want his contributions, and you want him to provide a lot for you, but, at like what cost? And then Kevin Love, played his 21 minutes tonight. It's fine. Give you your 8 and 8. And that's the interesting thing with this Kevin Love in the starting lineup because it feels like it's doing okay. Like, it's one of these things where, like, I don't want to be the guy that's just results-oriented, but it has been 2-5 with Kevin Love in the starting lineup. Had one of your better offensive games with him hurt. Is that a thing? Is it not a thing? I don't know. Because I think a lot of that probably had to do with nothing with him starting, because the game the other day, you had probably one of your best bench games from Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo, which is a trickle down of having Kevin in the starting lineup. Even though he was in that game, Caleb has gotten into this role where he's doing more. They started Max Strus that game. I'm not suggesting starting Max Strus right now. It is interesting, though, I will say, I want to divert here for a second. We are in a game where, trying to get some shots, trying to get some big ones. And once again, Duncan Robinson, DNP-CD. No coach's decision, sitting dunks. Weird, man. I don't get it. Just very, especially after the game he just had. It's a weird one, that he's just been ousted like this. You're committed to him for the next 3 years. And the dude is just an afterthought from Eric Spoelstra. It's a strange thing. But, yeah, getting back to the Kevin Love thing, you're 2-5 with him in there. I would say Bam hasn't quite looked himself offensively with Kevin in there since the trade has happened. But, again, I don't feel like when I'm watching this, any of these games are Kevin Love's fault. Obviously, he's going to get beat on defense from time to time. You're going to take the good with the bad. That happens with Kevin Love. Do like what he's bringing from a rebounding perspective. Probably has something to do with Bam's, rebounding numbers going down a little bit. And, he does do that outlet pass to get the offense out and rolling. But I don't know. I do think it's been a little bit of a mixed bag bringing him over here and seeing what that's been. This is Kevin Love yesterday where he was talking about asking for a buyout.
Professionally, the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Without question. I think you guys know how much I love Cleveland and Ohio, all the fans that have always supported me, and the team. And naturally, winning there makes it bigger than guys like myself or Kyrie or LeBron. Like, it's even here I look up and I see the championship banners and I'm like, man, that's special. Like, I go back in, Brexville, I look up, I'm like, we did that. Like, we really did that. So that was naturally incredibly hard to do after 8.5 seasons.
So, you have a lot of Cleveland reporters obviously in town. I don't believe Kevin's really addressed leaving Cleveland. He's kind of talked more just about being in Miami. And then also discussed, the idea of his tenure just so far with the Miami Heat.
I do not know how you want me to answer that, but outside of missing threes, I think it's going well. I wish we have one more games. I mean, that's another game that comes back down in 2 minutes. There was the Charlotte game, the New York game. We win those. There's a different tone to that question. So, no, I think we just got to win more games, and things will change.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously Kevin Love is new to this whole everything is down to the wire. That's really been the season all season on how this team has gone about things. But yeah, every game has come down to the wire. It's been wildly frustrating that every game is that close. So look, you got to bounce back. This next one against him is obviously huge. These series are tough. Look, Cleveland's a good team. I'm not, I don't want to take anything away from them. Like they made a lot of things difficult on Miami. Certainly inflicted a lot, between some travels, offensive fouls, some dumb turnovers. But Cleveland did too. Cleveland was turning the ball over willy-nilly a bunch. They had 15 today, so it's not like they were having the cleanest of game either. And certainly gave Miami some opportunities down the stretch to close this thing out, and they just weren't unable to. It was a tough go about that. You just breathe too much life, and especially when you're at home. You want to have one of those games that's a little bit cleaner. So big time need of a bounce back coming up on Friday. But in the meanwhile, maybe we'll get a Floyd Mayweather and Jake Paul fight.